Hi, and welcome back to my knitting journey. I am Vanessa, and this is a knitting podcast where I talk about what I'm recently working on, what I've recently finished, and all the new yarn that entered my stash. So I know it's been a while. I think the last podcast episode I uploaded was about 2 years ago, so there's a lot to catch up on. At the end, I'm going to talk a bit more about where I've been and what I'm planning for the future. And yeah, let's dive right in with what I'm wearing. And we already have a visitor. This is Luna, my cat. So I am wearing the Rowena, I can never say this right. I am wearing the Rowena jumper by Fable Knitwear. It's an all-over ribbing sweater that's pretty tight. It has a lot of negative ease, and it has a turtleneck with a button in the back. I don't know if you can see it. I knit this past winter, and it's knit in, I have to look, the Rerum Natura Ulysses, I think, and the colorway is Poivre et Sel, so salt and pepper. And yeah, I quite like it. I just think I don't know about the shoulder puffs. I think they're sitting a bit too high, so but maybe I haven't worn it that much yet, so maybe it will stretch out a bit over time. I don't actually have any finished objects right now because I've cast on a lot of new projects over the past 2 months, and so I don't have anything that I recently finished except for gift knits, so Christmas presents that I don't want to show yet. But therefore I have a few more work in progress than I usually have. So for most of this year, let's say from March on, I've been quite a monogamous knitter, so I only ever had one project on the needles. But over the last month, I really had that cast on fever, and I cast on a lot of new projects. For right now, I'm really happy about that. It's giving me a lot of joy working on a few things at once and just casting on when I feel like it. But I'm sure there's gonna come the point in the future where I feel a bit overwhelmed with having too many projects at once, and where I'll finish off all of the ongoing projects and just work on one project at a time again. I go through phases. So the first project I have is one that you actually might have seen already if you've seen my older videos. It's the starter sweater by Park Knit. I started this once before. It's a very simple sweater. It's you don't have to know any other stitches than make one and knit, and how to cast on and how to cast off. So it's a very mindless knit. I'm knitting it in Rosa Poma Brusca, and the colorway is BC. It's the natural color of the sheep. It has this mold effect where one of the strands of the ply is white and the other one is brown. And for the stripes, you can see here, I'm using drops brushed alpaca in the color 4, just 4. Yeah, and the pattern is by Park Knit. I don't know if I've said that before. I'm going to link everything I talk about in the description down below. You can always find patterns, the yarn, everything in the description. And if I forget anything, just ask in the comments and I'll add that. I am almost done with the body on this. I only have a few centimeters to go. I'm knitting it quite a bit longer than the pattern suggests because the pattern has a very cropped look, and I would prefer this to go over or into my pants. So I'm almost done with the body, and I'm going to start the arms soon. Surprisingly, even though it's a DK weight yarn and it's a pretty rustic yarn, this is very lightweight. So I'm curious to see how I can style this and wear this. Maybe with a shirt underneath. I think that could look quite nice with the rolled hem on top. The next work in progress is a bit of a more popular pattern that you might have seen a lot around lately. I participated in the Geogradient M-Call by Stephen West this year. I haven't finished yet, even though it's already November, but I lost some steam on it. I finished clue 1, 2, and 3, and so if you don't want to get spoiled, just look away right now. But I think it's been a while and everyone has seen it already. Yeah, I started picking up for clue 4, but I just didn't feel like working on it anymore. And also for this needle set, I have my longest cable on this sweater right now, and as you can see, this is not long enough to pick up all of the stitches all around the shawl. So I'm waiting to finish the body on this so I can continue with the shawl. I quite like the result. I also like the techniques used this year. I really like the slip stitches. I like the texture that it gets, and from the size and the shape of the whole thing, I think this will be quite usable for me. I like to have, I work in an office, and I quite like to have something around my shoulders when it gets chilly that I can just take on and off as I feel like it. The yarns I used are some that I had in stash and some that I had to buy. I wanted to use up some things I had in stash, but I didn't manage to get a gradient together with just colors in stash. So I'm gonna hold this a bit closer so you can see it in the shawl. I have this lighter beige color, then the light green, a greenish blue, and a dark blue greenish color, kind of tealy. The beige and the medium blue are both from the same brand. They are Rico Design Baby Merino and come in these 25-gram balls. Sorry, my camera cut me off. Where was I? I think I was talking about this yarn. So it's from Faserliebe, and I got it at Wedding Wool Weekend 2 years ago. And it's merino sock, non-superwash, and it's a hand dyed. It's very slightly variegated. It's a tonal, so there's just some places where it has a little speck where it looks a bit like this yarn, but it's mostly just the same green. And that one I had in stash. This one I also had in stash. It's the it's something stuck to it, I don't know. It's just some tape. It's the Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in the color Dark Sea Green, and I think this makes kind of a fade. I know that there's quite a break between the green and the lighter blue, but I think it still works and it still looks nice in the finished shawl. Yeah, I hope to pick this up again soon, but as I said, I lost a bit of steam on it. I tried to knit it as the clues came out, but yeah, it was too much knitting in a week for me. I don't have that much time right now, so knitting this in only 4 weeks wasn't realistic for me. The next project I have is a sock project. It's I call them my work socks. When I work at the office, I like to go for a walk during my lunch break, and while I'm working, I always get knitting on some socks. I don't like knitting socks at home. I prefer knitting on bigger projects at home, so this is the only way I can get myself to knit socks is when I'm walking, because they're just easy to take with me, easy to store in my desk at work, and yeah. A while ago I lost one of my Addy Crazy Trio needles, so I only had 2 instead of 3, and so I took a wooden DPN needle that I still had a set of to replace the missing Addy needle, and well, as you can see, I managed to break that, so now I have 2 incomplete sets of DPNs, and I finally gave in and bought a new set of sock needles. Yeah, and now I have 2 sets that I don't know what to do with anymore because they are incomplete. I cannot tell you what yarn this is. I lost the label somewhere when walking or in some bag. I don't know where it's gone. But it's this pastel colored self-striping yarn, and I'm just knitting a vanilla shorty sock. This is my first time knitting shorties. I've always knit higher socks, but I wanted to try this and wanted to see if I like wearing them. Next time I can already tell I'm not going to make the cuff that high, and I'm also going to make less rows in between the cuff and the heel. But yeah, it's just a heel flap and gusset basic vanilla sock. Top down, the way I always knit them. My final project I keep in this basket. I've only just started it. I think I cast it on 2 days ago, and you can't see much yet, but it's another Rowena jumper, so the same as the one I'm wearing, and I'm wearing it to be able to explain a bit better what I'm doing with this one. So it's knit bottom up, and then you knit the sleeve separately and add everything in together at the yoke. For this one, I am adding some cables along the sides. So up here to underneath the arms, I'm adding a cable, and then I'm splitting the cable to go along the sleeve seam here and into the neck. And I'm also adding a cable on the top of the sleeve ribbing. I hope this is going to work. It's a bit of an experiment. I designed the cable myself. I'm not sure I know what I'm doing, but I'm just experimenting. I wanted to make another one of these, but I didn't want it to be exactly the same, especially as the yarn is also a lighter color. Yeah, I just didn't want to make an identical sweater. I'm also going to make the neck maybe a little less high, because I feel like it's pulling up on this one. And I'm not sure yet if I'm going to knit the shoulder puffs for this one or just want some smooth shoulders, or maybe make a less dramatic shoulder puff. And I'm also going to start it a little lower because I think on this one it sits too high up on the shoulder. It looks a bit strange, I think. And maybe that will also prevent the bunching I have right here. Yeah, we'll see. It's an experiment. The yarn is also an experiment. I spun this myself. This is the second yarn I ever spun. I just ordered some white merino fiber on Amazon and gave it a go. I have a drop spindle, so it's all spun with a drop spindle and then plied together. And I dyed the fiber using some India ink. So I used some pinkish red India ink and some blue India ink and just dyed some sections of the fiber. Usually India ink should stick even without preparing the fiber, so without adding some, I think it would be acid to the fiber, it shouldn't wash out. If it does wash out, the sweater gets whiter and whiter over time. I don't mind. It's an experiment, as I said. I have 6 skeins of this. It's about a DK weight. You can see this one's more uneven, others are like this one is more even than the other. I just wanted to use it. I made it and I already spent so much time spinning the yarn. I at least want to use it for something. And I should have enough for the whole sweater, and it should be about the right thickness. So it's more or less a DK. Sometimes it's a bit thinner and sometimes it's a bit thicker, but with the ribbing I expect it to even out. Or at least I hope so. I even made some swatches and washed them, blocked them, and I'm not one to do that usually. I'm often just making a swatch, measuring it on the needles and ripping it out again because I don't want to waste the yarn. But I wanted to do it proper and made a swatch this time. I'm a bit bigger than the gauge that's indicated in the pattern. However, I think that this is a bit too tight. I would like it to be a little bit looser. And this is the smallest size. I did swatch for this one, but it still came out quite tight. And I did swatch properly for this one, not just on the needle gauge. So even if this is a bit bigger than the expected gauge, I don't mind if it's a bit looser than this sweater. So I think it will work out, I hope so. And I even made a little swatch for the cable I'm doing. So it just turns around itself here and then crosses in the middle. And these are the cables that are going to split along the shoulder seams. I just used some cheap cotton yarn that I bought to try things out. Now for the new yarn, I recently ordered some things from Dornröschens Keller. It's an indie dyer based in Germany. I'm going to link her Etsy shop down below. I don't think she has a website. I think she only has an Etsy. And I ordered some fiber to spin up. It's been almost 2 years since I've spun the yarn I'm knitting my sweater with, and I wanted to give it another go. So I ordered 3 plates of this fiber. It's hand dyed. It has this muted green, some orange, and also some purple in it, with some places that are still white. I'm maybe planning to do a more in-depth video about spinning this. I'm not sure yet. I'll try. And I also ordered a single skein of this fingering weight. Oh, I didn't tell you what yarn this is, what fiber this is. This is 100% Bluefaced Leicester. And this is 75% wool and 25% nylon, I think. Polyamide should be nylon. And it's 400 meter to 100 grams. I want to use this, I know exactly what I want to use this for. I wanted to have a light but slightly speckled color to knit a Zweig sweater with by Caitlin Hunter. She it's a sweater that has it's a sweater that has a section of lace along the yoke or on the body, I'm not sure, can't remember. That's knit in a different yarn than the rest of the sweater, and I have the yarn to knit the rest of the sweater, but I was missing the yarn for the lace, and I think this is going to go quite well with the yarn I already have. The yarn I have is a dark green, and this has some green and purple speckles. Yeah, I don't think this doesn't say what color this is, so if I can find the color name, I'm going to add it in this description down below. And for the final yarn I only bought this a couple of days ago at a craft fair in Belgium. And it's some hand spun yarn, so not spun by me, but by a different person. I got 2 hanks of this pale green and 1 hank of undyed yarn. It's doesn't say what sheep it's from, but it's rustic, but it's still soft. And I want to do some colorwork project with this. I don't know yet what I'm gonna knit, but we will see. And I think it should come out to about a spot rate. I think it's thicker than, it's thicker than fingering, but it isn't as thick as a DK, so spot. And they are the same thickness, they're just, these are dyed and this isn't. And these are dyed with some natural materials. It's in French, it's Tonnésie, but I don't know what that translates to. I'm gonna put it on the screen. Yeah, that was all of the yarny things for today. I wanted to talk a little bit about where I have been the past 2 years since I last uploaded a podcast episode. Back then I was still living in Berlin. I was working on my bachelor's, and I think I was just starting my last semester. I now have a degree in illustration, so a Bachelor of Arts in illustration. I since then moved back to Luxembourg. I bought a house with my boyfriend and we are renovating it. It's an almost 100-year-old house and it needed some work, and we are doing most of it ourselves. And at the same time I started work at a museum. I worked there for about a year and then I changed jobs. That's the job I'm at right now. Yeah, that's where I have been. I've been quite busy and I didn't have the time or energy to podcast, along with renovating a house, moving, readjusting to a new living space, starting work full-time. But what I have been doing all of that time is of course knitting. So I've finished quite a lot of things since then, and I'm going to try to show them to you as the thing I'm wearing during the podcast, just like this sweater. And I'm happy to be back. I plan to stick around a bit longer this time, or indefinitely. So that leads me right into what are my plans for the future with my channel. I want to try and upload a monthly podcast episode. I don't think that it makes any sense to do it more often. I don't have that much knitting time anymore, so doing it more often than once a month, I would just be showing the same thing over and over again without any progress. One video a month or one podcast a month should do it. And I also don't want to rush myself with my projects. I'm quite a slow knitter and I enjoy my knitting. I want it to be a calming experience. There are some trucks, sorry. We are living on a street where quite a few trucks go by. I hope you don't hear them too much. Yeah, what was I saying? I don't want to rush myself with my projects. I want to enjoy knitting on them and not just rush to get a finished object just to be able to show it on the podcast. So once a month. However, I do have quite a lot of other videos planned. I do want to start making some videos related to knitting that aren't podcasts. So showing an in-depth project or showing myself spinning. I have a whole lot of ideas lined up that I just need to film and produce, and I really want to throw myself into this thing again. For December, I want to have a go at Vlogmas. However, I'm not gonna upload a video every day. I don't think that's realistic for me. I don't have the time to film and edit and post a video a day. I think that I will be doing 12 days, so every other day. These will be shorter videos, so I expect them to be about 5 to 10 minutes per video. I have some things planned that I want to do, but I'm going to not spoil too much right now, and we will see how they evolve. I have some advent calendars that I am going to open. I'm going to some winter markets. And we also have a Yule or winter solstice party planned at our place. Yeah, I just be taking you along during the month, and I hope that that little experiment will succeed and that you will enjoy watching. I'm sorry if this video is a bit dark. I'm still trying to figure out the lighting in this new place and where I should be filming. I'm sorry if the next couple of videos aren't perfect. I'm also still filming on my phone. I have a camera somewhere, but it's still somewhere in the mass of boxes that we have not packed yet. I will try to find it for the Vlogmas videos, so the quality may be a bit better than this. Could be that I'll use them interchangeably because I have my phone with me all of the time. I don't know if I'm going to take the camera around to the markets. We will see. Yeah, I'm happy to be back, and I hope you are happy to watch my videos again. I'm excited to start this all over, and I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you for Vlogmas. Bye!